Squelch, squelch, squelch. Yeah, you know what? I think he's going to be fine.
Pretty much the past 3 months I've been really excited and nervous, and it's sort of stayed that same way. And then I got obviously more and more nervous and excited as we got closer to the time. Last night didn't really sleep very well. Got up this morning and feeling really quite tired, and then arriving here at the course, all of a sudden the adrenaline kicks in, and it was just amazing to see all of the leaderboards, to see the team markers. We've got like professional yardage books, and you can like look in detail about all the bunkers are. I felt quite calm almost when I came here. I felt like I was more relaxed than I'd been the night before, weeks preceding. Seeing Victoria early in the morning, it's definitely a comfort level because a friendly face, familiar face, definitely made me feel a bit more comfortable. After my rounds, back to the live vlogs. It's going to be a busy day, a busy week ahead where we've got all of the Sunday regional qualifiers, followed by all of Tuesday final qualifying at all 4 venues where we will have 12 new players in the Open Championship, and that's going to be really exciting. I had like the best warm-up session I've ever had, like just striping shot after shot after shot. It wasn't like that on the course, obviously, but that made me feel more comfortable thinking I've never hit the ball this well before. I was ready to get off the first tee because I've been thinking about that first tee shot since the practice round. And I realised the tee shot's actually much easier than I remembered it. I remembered it being like more bunkers and much tighter. I hit a squiffy little 3-iron away. Squiffy little 8-iron on the green but way short. I managed to get the pace right to give me like a 2-foot putt, and when I hold that I was like, that's perfect. The perfect length of putt where it's very difficult to miss it, but it's long enough to make you feel like you've held something. So I'm feeling good, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling like, right, I've got the pace of the greens. I haven't even hit 2 good shots, but I've had a good look for birdie. Hit an absolutely terrible, one of my worst shots, definitely, possibly my worst shot of the day on the second tee. I got 3-iron out, I'm like, right, I'm feeling confident, I'm gonna hit this down the middle. And I absolutely flared it so far right. 4 shout on the second hole. Not what you want. Yeah, but I got really lucky. I was just in the first cut of rough off the fairway when I hit 7-iron from 186 yards, which is like 20 yards more than I'd normally hit a 7-iron. Obviously had some adrenaline, to about 12 feet beyond the pin. I left my putt a little bit short, pretty much in the jaws actually, but again, I wasn't too worried about that. Managed to find the 3rd green a long way short, and then I 2-putted again, and I'm feeling confident about my putting at this point. Hit a great drive on 4, but then just pushed my approach a little bit, even though I was being a bit too conservative. I actually hit it well, and they left me just a really tricky putt, even though it wasn't too bad of a shot. Just left me a really tricky putt, and in the end I ended up 3-putting. And then on the 5th I played a really poor hole. And from my approach from like 120 yards, I hit it in the bunker, which is like just cardinal sin. I felt, uh-oh, here we go. I just didn't want to leave it in the bunker. I was concerned with not leaving it in the bunker, so I managed to salvage at least a bogey. After I hit my drive on the 6th hole was probably the time when I stopped being nervous, which is quite a long way into a round. I make a really long 2-putt birdie after I sort of thinned my approach over the green. 7th hole, really difficult hole, managed to make a par. 8th hole, pretty tricky hole again. Gave myself a look for birdie, but couldn't convert. Hit a terrible shot on 9 and was forced to chip out sideways sort of with the bunker, and I nearly made my putt. It was so close, but bogey there. 10th hole, I hit a pretty dodgy tee shot, but then I hit like a really nice wedge, but it was just a bit too much. And then nearly hold the putt again. The 11th hole, I hit a good 3-wood, but then I just had a really short wedge in, and I left it way short, which was poor. I managed to 2-putt it from off the green, but that was disappointing. 12th hole, hit a really solid 3-wood, and then pulled my approach left of the green, but then managed to two-putt it again for par. My putting from off the green was really solid. I just gave myself a really good look to two-putt it every time. Then the par 3 13th, I just took the wrong club. It was too long. I tried to smack a 4-iron and I left it out short right in a bunker. It was still a manageable bunker shot, but it was very difficult, and I made a bogey. The 14th hole, I was intent on making a birdie. I'm like, right, now I'm 3 over. I need to get this to 1 over or 2 over at the worst going into 17, 18, but ideally 1 over so I can have a chance to get under par. And I hit a really good tee shot. And then my approach, I just didn't catch it. It was the perfect club, but I just didn't catch it. But I still had a really good look for birdie, and it just narrowly missed again. My long range putting was definitely the best part of my game today. But the problem was I just couldn't give myself enough like close birdie chances. I had 2 putts for birdie within 15 feet. One was on the second, which I missed, and one was on the 15th, which I holed. That goes to show how far away my approaches were. They just weren't close. Even with wedges, I'm like 40 feet off the green. Well, on 15, I hit the only like controlled distance I got all day. It was pin high, 15 feet, just off the right, just slightly downhill. And it was perfectly in the middle, rolling quite slowly, but you know, continually rolling. And when it dropped, it was a really good feeling because I knew that I had a chance now to get back to level. I looked at the leaderboard on 13 and then back again on 16, and I saw a lot of red numbers, like a lot of deep red numbers. I saw even James at like 4 under, a few players. Mark Young was in at 6 under already. I only thought there was like 12 spots up for grabs. I didn't actually know how many spots there were. In reality, there was 26 spots. Had I known that, I might have gone about things a bit differently, because even par might potentially get into a playoff. And you know, that's what I was going in 16. So with the 2 par 5s to finish, you know, I could have got to that mark quite comfortably. But instead I was trying to be as aggressive as I possibly could be. And I hit a really good shot into the heart of the green. Probably 1 club too little, but I didn't want to go over the back of the green. But I hit a really good, sensible shot and gave me quite a long look for birdie. And I just got a bit aggressive with it. I just was really keen to hole it, thinking that I needed to get at least under par to have a chance. And I gave myself like 8 feet back. However, I hit like the perfect putt exactly as I wanted to. And I thought it was going to break, and at the very end it just stayed straight, and it lipped out really quite harshly, going quite slowly. That was probably the moment where I felt, I couldn't necessarily bring that back now. And with that, I just hit my drive as hard as I could on 17. And I actually hit a really good drive, and then I ended up not capitalizing on it, even though I only had like 200 yards into on a par 5, and I made a par. Actually, I made a good putt for par as well. And then on 18, it's not driver really. If you have anything to play for, you lay up short of those 2 bunkers. But I was like, right, my only chance is an eagle and a prayer. I just took my driver and I smacked it as hard as I could. Definitely the best drive of the day, in between a thin gap of the 2 bunkers. But then when I got there, I didn't know how far I had, because I couldn't, there was no elevated place for me to get a yardage from the Bushnell. And I couldn't work out the yardage book. I'm not a professional golfer, I don't know how to work these things out. So I couldn't work it out. I guessed basically. I hit like a chippy 7-iron. I just guessed downwind, and it ended up being the right club, but I pulled it way left. So I ended up actually hitting like a really nice putt to about 4 or 5 feet beyond the pin. Tapped it in for a nice finish. I was glad to finish with 2 over. I was very happy to be in with that score. I played better than 3 over. I enjoyed myself. I loved every minute of it, and I was in a pretty good mindset for almost all around. I made a couple of silly mistakes which cost me, but like my approach game especially, which is something I'll work on for next year. The amount of joy, anticipation, what it's brought me is almost priceless. Shakespeare says, anticipation of pleasure is pleasure in itself, and it really is true in regards to this. I can't see how I'm not going to try it next year, especially when it opens at St Andrews. I live in St Andrews. It'll be criminal not to give it a go. The support I've received is actually just kind of mind-blowing. I've never received anything like it. From colleagues, friends, family, people I haven't spoken to in a long time, who've watched the video and, you know, they've seen me and they've reached out, and it really has been special, the response from people, and I'm very, very thankful and grateful for it. I've learnt a lot from this year. I've learnt that I can play, you know, amongst this class of player, when I've often doubted that I should even, you know, be on the same golf course, let alone can compete. And that's really important for me to progress my own game. You know, anyone can do it if you hit that golden patch of form. You're just 3 rounds away from qualifying for the Open.